Good afternoon, everyone. I am Cindy DeWeese, President and CEO of the Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce, and we're happy you've joined us today for our COVID-19 webinar series. We're going to be talking about navigating the new normal for student success with CCISD Superintendent Dr. Greg Smith. But first, I want to introduce to you our Education Division Chairman, Dr. Peter Winchell, Executive Director of Communities and Schools Bay Area. He's going to go through some housekeeping items and then also introduce the speaker. Peter, take it away.
Thank you, Cindy. To ensure that we have a clear connection during the webinar, we ask that everyone except our speaker turn off your camera during the presentation. That way it can be all about Dr. Smith. It's all about him today. We encourage you to change your display to speaker view so you can focus on the screen of the person presenting. Everyone has been muted, but if you have a question, please use the chat feature or email Vice President Sherry Sweeney at sherry@clearlakearea.com. The chat feature is on the very bottom. If you don't see it, it's usually in orange. We're pleased to have Dr. Greg Smith. We are pleased to have Dr. Greg Smith to speak to us today. As the leader of Clear Creek ISD, he and his staff are working tirelessly to ensure the success and well-being of our 42,000 students. They are striving to feed the minds, hearts, and even the stomachs during this isolation. Let's welcome Dr. Greg Smith. Thank you, Greg.
Thank you, Peter. It's great to be with you all today. And must say, I started sporting my Clear Lake High School Protect the Nest shirt today, just to help honor the chamber and to be just express my thankfulness to all of you in the business community and your continuous prayers and your support for our 5,000 employees and 42,000 kids. This has been an exciting opportunity, one that we've never had to face, much like yourselves. And we've done Ike, and we've done Harvey, and we've done Alicia, and we've done several other hurricanes, but we've never done anything like this. It's been a great test, and today I'm going to cover several areas with you just to get you in on the loop, the health and well-being of all, as well as our school update instructionally, and talk a little bit about our distance learning adventures and what we've learned from that, and then discuss our district operations because I mean, this economic time is very difficult to navigate through, but we're doing it the best we can. And then certainly I'll close with some comments and then open up the floor for any questions that anyone might have. I'm thankful to be doing this from my office today. I was kidding around with Cindy and Jerry and Peter before we began that I had my pick of parking spaces, like 300 parking spots, and each day I get to park in a different place just to manage some differentiation or variation of the day. We are reminded how strong we are together by being apart, and I think that's been mentioned several times. But just like Hurricane Harvey, this pandemic will have an everlasting effect on our youth and create triggers like we've never seen before. So we have to deal with the emotional and social well-being and some of the trauma associated with this, and as well as our families and our communities for years to come. We know that our families, especially our first responders, have been extremely busy and they're suffering right now, and we appreciate that from the standpoint of them reaching out to us and letting us know when we're pushing too hard so we can pull back and look at redoing some things to help them manage the situation as best we can. We do want to remind our families that we are here to help, so that invitation is always going out. CCISD has always cared about our constituents and our parents and to help do whatever we can to help them experience some success. Our schools have been safe havens for thousands of children. Although they're not with us today, I do know that we are doing what we can to make sure that their basic and educational needs are being met. We are serving or have served over 71,000 breakfasts and lunches over the course of the last month, since March 30th, actually. And our local restaurants are also helping. In some cases, we've had the Texas Roadhouse show up at Green Elementary School over in Friendswood. And then we had another day, we had Chick-fil-A show up. So it's been great to continue our partnership with the community and restaurants in the area. The issue of child hunger, I want to just kind of flat out tell you, continues to weigh heavy on our team. As a matter of fact, next weekend will be our first weekend in which we'll start delivering meals, at least making the Thursday pickup of the meals available to run all the way through Saturday and or Sunday. So we look to have more and more families participate in that so that they do not go hungry. We're working with the Houston Food Bank to see how we can add more students to their Backpack Buddy program, which has been helpful. I just can't thank the food banks enough for all their efforts in trying to make sure that no kid goes hungry. Very, very proud of our coordinator of health services. We've had our crisis management meetings every week, and our coordinator, Marina Keaton, has been just stellar in providing me and other members of our cabinet up to date on what's going on in Galveston County and Harris County, since we live in both sides of the fence. It seems like you can wear your mask in Galveston County, but you don't have to wear your mask in Galveston County, but you do have to in Harris County. So we're throwing caution to the wind out there. But Marina has done a very good job of keeping us up to date on what's going on with either teachers, professionals in the area, or our students with respect to the number of virus counts that we have. And it's been minimal at the worst case scenario. But I think a lot of that credit goes to our community and their discipline on keeping the social distancing. If you recall, we and many of the districts inside of Region 4 actually shut down before the governor mandated it, because we knew that there's no way that we could do the social distancing and keep people 6 to 10 feet apart by bringing in kids in the numbers of 800 to 1,000 for an elementary campus and 1,000 for an intermediate, and up to 3,000 kids at a high school. There's no way that we could justify bringing them back in. That's why we shut it down a little bit earlier than what the governor had suggested. I am thankful to our Board of Trustees as well. They unanimously approved a resolution to maintain pay for all CCISD employees during this outage. That's also been covered not so much by local dollars as much as the state funding is concerned. As long as we provide the distance learning to our children, money will continue to flow from the state, as was honored in the biennium and the budget from the legislature. So, and including hourly employees. So we're very, very thankful during this time. I do know that we're not out of the woods yet, right, on this whole funding piece that I think even the governor's talking about having 20% budget cuts across all state agencies. I'm interested to see if that will even touch the foundation school program in the weeks to come, and if so, what adjustments we'll have to make to accommodate the shortage. I want to talk to you a little bit about the school update that we have here. All Texas public schools are officially closed. At least the facilities are closed, but and this goes throughout the course of the school year, but social distancing is alive and well. We're mandated to do that, and quite frankly, I don't see any other way to do what we need to do. Some kids are getting it through distance learning, while others are getting hard copies or paper copies of the assignments that are needed. We do want to place a bow around the school year for the seniors. If you had to think about who gets what's this is bad for seniors, and we understand that. We're trying to make as much lemonade out of the lemons that are thrown our way. If you think about this class of 2020, they were actually born in 2001. That's the 9/11 population. On the front end of it, they have 9/11 and the horrible tragedies that occurred on that year, that day, and then certainly into the pandemic flu. So they've got quite a resilient group of graduates that are coming out, and I'm excited to see how resilient they are and what they've been able to do. And they'll have stories to tell their children and grandchildren, that's for sure. The On top of that, we have, right now we're working on a plan to host an in-person graduation ceremony, likely in July at NRG Stadium for all 5 comprehensive high schools. We're working out the specifics on that, and that will be released very soon. We are working out the details also for a virtual setting, and that's just to make sure that if we do have students that are going off to the military, that they can go ahead and get on with that in June or July, if indeed that's something that they choose to do so. So we'll have 2 opportunities if social distancing is no longer an issue. The first one is the virtual learning opportunity. The second one, and that'll occur during the regular time slots, we hope, in May. And then the second one, again, is late July at NRG. And we're excited about doing that. It's a long day. That's 5 graduation ceremonies early in the morning, all the way through the evening. But we'll get it done. We know that there are some districts that do 7 or 9 of them. And this is as a result of what the students wanted. They really want they want the personal graduation ceremony. So we want to honor that. Let's see. We're working on our caps and gowns. That's an exciting adventure there. Unless Sherry Sweeney and Cindy DeWeese are going to turn in their old ones from Clear Lake High School. We had to work with some of the plants were closed down in other states. Balfour's plant in Kentucky was closed down, but I have information that they're back up and running, and excited that those caps and gowns will be available in the not too distant future for student pickup. We've also modified our grading system to try to take into consideration all of the trials and tribulations and variations that go into distance learning. So we're fortunate enough to have a pass-fail system, and many systems have had to make some adaptations, and we feel like this is in the best interest of the kids. We've had a little feedback from parents out of the 13,000 kids that we have in high schools and 3,000 graduates that will walk this spring. We had some junior parents that were very concerned about the third 9 weeks grades not being calculated in the GPA, and there's some complications that went into that. And anyway, at the end of the day, we felt like it was important to make sure we didn't sacrifice the integrity of the grades that we're offering our students based on their work and their hard work. There's so many different variations. Even as I work with my own granddaughter at home, I'm in charge of math and science, and my wife's in charge of language arts and social studies and all the fun stuff on the specials. But parents that have 3 kids or 4 kids or 5 kids, and they're all different levels, I really applaud them for being the frontline teachers for the kids and the work that's being done at home. Kudos to the parents. I think they're also getting appreciation for how hard teaching really is, especially when you have multiple levels of kids in your classroom. I wanted to let you know that while schools are closed, learning is continuing and will continue to go on throughout school, Clear Creek ISD through May 28th. We were one of the first districts that actually started the distance learning, which began March 18th, shortly after spring break. So I'm proud of our teachers for taking us on. They've really done an outstanding job of working in and out of different platforms and working with parents, making some mistakes along the way. But I think we found a lot of silver linings out on social distance learning and helping kids learn from home. Some of it's been very, very good. Some of it's like, okay, we could do better, or we need to provide more professional learning to our teachers that have been kind of reluctant over time. But the virtual learning platform has been really good. As a matter of fact, on Monday, March 30th, we did a count. We had nearly 72,000 logins into our virtual learning platform. And to put that in perspective, we got 42,000 kids and 2,800 teachers. So a lot of contact there. And then we surveyed the community in 2016 just to get a pulse again, and again in 2018 about how many of them actually had internet access from home. And our numbers are running close to 98% of our parents have access. So that's it's a good day for us, but we still have 2% that we have to help and find and make sure that they're not out there gone in the wind. So we are working to help those 2%, make sure that they get their hotspots and cell phones, to make sure that they have access to online learning throughout May 28th, and then we'll address some of the things that we need to do during the summer. We are providing specific support to students who are homeless and living in shelters. For example, at Bay Area Turning Point, we have 5 students there, and we've sent mobile hotspots over there so they can continue to learn. We're not going to leave any student behind, but we also not be giving out free passes to the next grade level. Our campus leaders are creating paper packets again for elementary students to complete at home. We're also monitoring student use of our learning systems platforms. If a student is not connected with us, we're making personal phone calls. So far, the team is impressed with the level of engagement from our kids. Even cheerleading tryouts, yes, even cheerleading tryouts have occurred through our videos, and so we've been able to get students to download their routines and participate in that level of competition. But once again, I mean, all kidding aside and trying to look at this is a very serious subject. We're taking it very seriously. This is a very stressful time for our families as well. I'm thankful for their patience and understanding as much as they have been. And it will continue to be. There will be challenges with distance learning, but I'm reminding them to not try to be superheroes with their kids, spend as much time as they can building family memories versus struggling to do the new math that some might refer to. District operations, fiscally we're strong and in good shape. The state is providing us waivers for our funding based on our average daily attendance, which essentially means that we are expecting to receive from the state funding formulas for this year, and those remain unchanged. 60% of our general fund is comprised of local tax dollars. The majority of that has been collected. We have more than 2 months of operating costs and reserves, which is required by policy, and we have our capital fund to help us on our rainy day side of things if need be when we suffer potholes or sinkholes or have to make ends meet for a short term. Clear Creek ISD reduced its tax rate by 9 cents this year, 7 cents thankfully to the state legislature and what they've been able to do with the funding mechanism, and then 2 cents, which I credit our Board of Trustees for because of the job that they've done on being fiscally conservative with the tax rate for bond debt. So we're able to reduce that by 9 cents. We're also still hiring. Gosh, you guys do a great job of bringing everybody back in the fall. And we've traditionally been bringing in anywhere from 300 to 400 new teachers. And just recently we had a virtual job fair where prospective teacher applicants were asked to upload a video, and we were looking for to see how many people would actually participate in this. We had close to 1,100 submit their video applications for employment with Clear Creek ISD. We've started accepting new students for 2020-2021 school year, and that's through our www.ccisd.net. And we anticipate some moderate enrollment growth going into next year. In closing, there are literally signs across all CCISD schools in the area, reminding us of just how important it is to bring children back into the schoolhouse and reconnect. In the meantime, our kids and teachers are doing wonderful things to improve the world around them. And I'm very, very thankful for the opportunity to lead our district and participate in some great spotlights. We're not able to show it today, but I think Mr. Dick will put together a link that would show the Clear Lake Orchestra staff and others perform Lean On Me, which has been viewed by millions across by at least 1 million across the world. So there it is right there. It's on the chat. So I appreciate that. And that's pretty exciting. Then we had another student over in our Friendswood over at Wedgwood Elementary School put together a little pantry outside. Some of you may have seen that in the news, where she put together a pantry of food and perishable items for people to come who might be hungry, and they just asked that you might bring something in to replace it, not necessarily donations, but just as much as it is. If you have some food, go by this house. They've got a little area in front of their house where people can come in there if they're hungry and get some staple item and then move on. So it's a great time. We've seen a lot of creative, innovative ideas by families that have had their lives turned upside down, and they really have done a great job of tending to the needs of the community. And I think this makes us stronger. I think that there's opportunities to be gloom and doom about this because it's thrown everybody for a curve. But I do think that I can say that I'm proud of our parents. I'm proud of our kids for hanging in there. They really want to get reunited. We are social creatures by nature. So all this online learning is wonderful and great. However, I do think that there's opportunities for us to learn some lessons along the way and how we can get better as well. And that's where we are today. And I know that I think Senator Taylor pointed out that maybe some of the information I gave on the 20% pay cuts is not accurate, and that Governor Abbott was either misquoted or misinterpreted, or somebody ran with some information from the quorum report. So we'll clarify that later. But I will say that the legislature's been very, very good to us, and we participate in weekly meetings with the Commissioner of Public Education, Mike Morath, who's done a phenomenal job. I think the agency has often been viewed as a compliance force in the past, but I must say right now they're really doing a great job of being a solution force, where they grab great ideas and great practices that are going on throughout the state and nation for that matter, and they're pulling them in. They've been exceptional on waivers. They've been exceptional on feeding children and getting information out. They've been exceptional, especially in some rural districts that do not have necessarily a stable curriculum or a stable way to deploy that curriculum. They've done a great job of bringing in information and deploying that information out so that every child throughout the state of Texas, all 5.4 million children, can receive a quality education during this distance learning opportunity that we have before us. So that's really what I have. I could go on and on and on and on and tell you about some great things, but I do want you to know, if you're a parent of a senior, that all that information will be coming to you very, very soon on graduations, superintendent scholars, senior awards programs, proms, etc. All that will come forward really, really soon. We're just finishing up the touches on that with all the campus principals who have been meeting daily. We have got a couple of great surprises to throw your way as well. So if there are any questions beyond what I've thrown out there, I would love to entertain them. And I want to thank everyone for your time. You guys have been great. The Chamber of Commerce is a highly recognized chamber, and a day like this is a great day to be a member of the chamber and to participate in our discussions. And I'm very humble for this opportunity to share with you.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Greg. If you do have questions, please put them in the chat. We recognize there's going to be a lot of feedback. So just one comment, if you didn't see it, Michelle Conley mentioned the teachers have been amazing. And I would like to reiterate that. I do work with the school districts, with communities and schools, and the district has bent over backwards for us to reach some of the kids that we're working with, but it's the same kids that they're working with. So they have been phenomenal. And if you want to address that at all, Greg, I'd love for you to.
Yeah, yes, they have been, because I'm even experiencing that at home, right, with our granddaughter. So we have an opportunity to touch base with teachers, and they're learning and we're learning, and we're going back and forth. It's clear that they miss the children as much as the children miss them, and that's hard to work around. And I'm excited about hopefully someday soon being able to bring everybody back together again and bringing closure to the year.
Fantastic. Larry got off for a moment, but was back on. I just want to unmute him for just a moment, Larry. Okay. Do you have any more information on the 20% cut? And do you want to do any clarification?
Yeah, the quorum report had reported there were discussions about every agency taking 20% cuts. I was on a conference call with the governor at, I don't know what time, I've had 2 or 3 of these today. I think it was at 11. And he absolutely said that was not true. That was, I hate to use the term, it's fake news. I don't know where it came from, but he did deny it. And he did remind us, we already have like $11 billion coming from the feds, in different programs. I think for education, they've already earmarked about $1.2 billion. But, obviously our budget issue is going to be challenging, but we don't know what it is yet. So that's kind of a wait and see. It certainly doesn't look good. But as far as the 20%, we just don't know that yet. That just came out of the blue to him as well. So I just want to clarify that. And I'm sure I know exactly where Greg got it from. He didn't make it up. I saw the same email go out, but he did actually say that was not true in that conference call.
Thank you very much. We needed that.
And I thank you too. You made my day.
It's all I could do.
Fantastic.
I saw a question from a student about 5th graders, and yeah, 5th graders, like seniors, moving from elementary level to intermediate level, also have some of the same concerns that seniors have. That rite of passage, tying up that bow around their year and then moving on. I think there's some things that each individual campus has discussed on trying to bring closure, and we hope to try to be able to do something in the summer. But as long as we have the social distancing in play here, there's not much we can do in terms of bringing together. I know that some elementary teachers have tried to arrange time for classrooms to Zoom in and to be together and have conversations about how things are going. I think that's the best we have available right now, but I do honor and feel that we have to find other ways to bring closure to the 5th grade year, much like we need to do for the 8th graders moving to 9th grade, and certainly the seniors that I've mentioned before they move to the next level. But there's some things that you miss out on with the field days and the end of the year celebrations and the end of the year clap outs that some schools do for 5th graders moving out. I know that there are some seniors that are doing their senior walk, thanking the elementary principals and teachers and showing elementary students, perhaps modeling how things look when you get ready to graduate is in play. So we're trying to get that ready to go virtually as well. But stay tuned. We'll try to do some additional things for that transition from 5th grade to 6th grade as well.
Do you see the question on students who are MIA? Any need for volunteers? And actually, while you're speaking to that, is there any need for volunteers in general that the chamber might be able to bring the business community out for?
So that's a little dicey, right? So as long as we have distancing where you can't,
yes,
right, that's always going to be an issue. I think that once we put out an all call and Mr. DeCardenas or Ms. Polson can do this with the chamber to say, we have this food bank at this elementary school. For example, I know we're working on one for Stewart Elementary School from Kemah, and they would like to have a food bank distribution center over at Stewart Elementary in the parking lot. So we're working on the logistics of that. Once that starts occurring, then we can put out an all call for people that want to participate in that. But there are certain measures that people have to abide by and protocols. I know that in our case where we have 5 campuses that are distributing food, we only let our child nutrition workers distribute the food. Their temperatures are being taken before they do anything. They are masked up and gowned up and distributing food out there to the masses, and that just takes on a different beast. And we just want to make sure people are protected despite their desire to volunteer. The MIAs, wow, yeah, I mean, there's probably close to 700, probably being on the low side of kids that are in the wind. They're either not participating and they may be up and gone. They may be saying I'm out, and just so parents have said I can't take this. I can't teach you at home. You need to go stay with the grandma and grandpa out of state or out of area. Those are the tough ones. We're constantly making calls, not necessarily thinking that they're emails, but people have done a great job about texting. So 750 out of the 42,000, it's a lot of kids, because there's a lot of makeup time and gaps that are occurring in the spring instruction that they missed for the 9 weeks, plus what we refer to as the summer slide, right? So June, July, and most of August, they've not had any kind of direct instruction. So we have to combine those two. I know Senator Taylor's working on that coming up on the return to school and what that looks like. That has to be taken into consideration. But when we do an all call and we need all hands on deck, we'll let you know. We'll put those volunteers in, and we'll make them part of our pit bull committee. Where they've got to go out and find kids and get them back. But right now, you still have to have that distance, and our social workers and attendance liaison officers are making the calls and trying to reach out. But I do appreciate the desire to do that. Thank you. All right, so I think there's a question on testing.
Yes, correct. Testing on for weight magnet. Yes.
Okay. I'll have to look into that. I think what we've tried to do is do a hold harmless. If there's no star testing, we've used other measures. Don't forget, we've had 27 weeks of great teacher observations of kids and lots of different assessments throughout the course of the year. And we'll be using all that data. We've got some BAS testing information that we have, and DRA information that we have. So we've got enough assessments to make sure that we have the right assessment information. If there's ever a doubt, then we would bring people in and have conversations with them. But I would not view the MAP test or the COGAT test as a barrier for testing for weight. But we do owe you and owe the parents information on that, and I'll make sure I'll provide that to Colin and everybody else, because I think that is probably a big question among fifth graders moving on to sixth grade. So we'll close that. Thank you for that question. And certainly, if you're gifted, you qualify automatically.
All right. Are there other questions for Dr. Smith?
I was going to say, Dr. Smith, a question that came in, I think you touched on it briefly, but someone was asking that, normally at a certain time of day, attendance is taken, and that's the information that gets to the state for funding and stuff. Is that an issue for y'all now, or the state just says, no, across the board, funding is fine?
Correct. The attendance at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock and so on, or 8 o'clock, or whatever that one specific time was in the past is waived. What the state is looking for, and this is an appropriate question, and we need to submit that in June to the Texas Education Agency, is the work that we've provided to students over the course of the 9 weeks. And then certainly we've provided quite a bit, so we'll have that acknowledged. But there's not an attendance. It's based on the ADA overall, not based on what's occurred in the last 9 weeks, as long as we've provided the distance learning opportunities for the children.
Okay.
Great question.
And you kind of touched on that too. I just wanted to clarify, since it came through, that someone was asking. As a senior parent, I think you guys, you're doing what you can do. I know that you'll figure out some amazing things. Evan and I talked yesterday, and it'll work out. But what I was going to say was, some of those students that are MIA, if they go to particular, and I'm talking just high school right now, because that's what I have. If they go to particular high school, maybe relying on some of the students to help try to find those students. They may be MIA because the teacher's looking for them, principal's looking for them, an adult.
The wrong person's looking, right?
Yeah. So, there may be some students, high school age, that might help, try to find some of those. Maybe not, you know, I know there's a lot of kids out there, but, you know, if there's some that they can reach out to and get to, they may want to do that and help.
Right. It's a good point. That's 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon, right? So
yeah, that's right.
Somebody knows somebody. There's somebody
Right.
connected to that person. Yeah.
Right.
Good.
Right.
Thank you. We'll take you up on that.
Yeah.
Sweeney's social work experience.
That's right. Put it on Donovan.
Okay. Deal.
Yeah.
Looking forward to his graduation.
Yeah. Well.
Dr. Smith, thank you so much for being here. I see something else coming in.
Yeah. Is there a backup plan in place if school won't be able to start on time next year? We're going to be working through the what ifs and the different options. Certainly, we'll be better at distance learning than what we are now. And now I think we're good, but we could be great. I think we'll have that in play. I think that's the worst case scenario, or one of the worst case scenarios. I've had some conversations with area superintendents and then other superintendents throughout the state about what that looks like. And we're meeting daily, looking at all the various options. Distance learning is one. Another one is to do some jump starts and some spacing with kids that really have shown tremendous gaps early on. But we got to get through this social distancing because we don't want, and I think China's done this as far as their return, where they have every child is wearing a mask. Every child's temperature needs to be checked before they leave the house. And then I think the teacher is required to take the temperature twice a day. And the teachers move while the kids stay in the classroom. That's not necessarily school, because even in lunch, they have to set up little carols to keep away from other students. That's not the best. That's really a sterile environment and not one that is amenable for how we go about our business, but it is one that keeps kids safe. But in the same token, they don't have PE or recess, and there's no opportunities for collaboration, which is a major skill set that we want our future employees to have, right? So having said that, we've got work to do to work out the various options. We'll explore any and all options, including distance learning. And then it'll be all hands on deck when we do that. I know that there's lots of different opportunities for kids, and we have counselors that have been working with kids and families, and we need to look at different ways to reach them, because not everybody has the same skill set that connects with the level of learning. Some people like to have lecture, other people like to have hands-on, other people like to collaborate. So we have to have opportunities for all those things that take place, including constant dialogue with kids to let us know. Kids have been really good about being articulate about what's happening, what's not happening early on. We're always getting alerts from kids about this teacher's giving me too much work, or this teacher's not giving me enough. I didn't get very many of those, but we did have enough of the conversation with kids saying, hey, I'm getting a little bit too much. I've got 7 classes, and 5 of these are advanced placement classes, and I'm being overloaded. So we've been able to monitor and adjust based on good quality feedback from students. And then utilizing substitute teachers next year if we don't go back in the fall. Yes, I mean, it's going to be a funding issue regarding additional support services. But we've got some special education situations where we want to provide additional support in the summer. We have teachers that may not be able to participate next year in the distance learning, and we'll need long-term subs. But there may be some needs. We're looking at all options. We're not taking anything off the table on what next year looks like, or if we had an interruption in next year's services that we provide our kids. All these activities like football and basketball and baseball and cheerleading and drill team, all those things, we want to do everything we can to get everybody back together again, because those are some of the most important cultural building activities and organizations that kids hold on to, and that's really some of the high school dreams hopes and aspirations that we want to fulfill.
Greg, I have a question. Dr. Smith, speaking of special education, one of Donovan's good buddies, Dyson, is in special education over at Lake. How are they doing their distance learning?
Some of them are getting it exactly the same. Some of them are getting it one-on-one with the teacher through Zoom or Skype. So they're getting it there. They have these virtual ARD meetings, so they touch base there on progress checks to make sure that everybody is where they need to be, and then certainly making plans for what the summer might look like for additional support or those gaps that we talked about. So it's pretty much the same as everybody else.
Okay, good.
It's just maybe some more personal interaction, but it's still not the same. It's still not the same. It'll never be the same as long as it's indirect instruction. But there is the face-to-face that people are engaging in and taking time out and saying, for example, on Thursday morning at 11 o'clock, I want all of my classmates, I want all my students to get online. Let's touch base with each other and have conversations. And sometimes it's just conversing about how are you doing, right? It's not necessarily let's talk about a TEK or let's talk about an objective. I need to check in to see how are you doing, where do you think we are on what you need to learn, and where did I miss the beat, so we can get some good reflective feedback from the students as well. But yeah, it's difficult, but I think that we've had good success with people reaching out, providing the additional support services that they need.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Smith. I'm going to turn this now over to Cindy DeWeese, our president, and let her take us to the end.
Thank you, Peter, and thank you, Dr. Smith. We really appreciate you taking the time today to be with us and share this message. We appreciate your dedication to CCISD, our community, our students, and we appreciate your staff as well. I know your staff was instrumental in making sure this happened today. So thank you for that. And thank you, Senator Taylor, for being on today. We appreciate you clarifying the misnomer that we heard out of Austin. You never know when that's going to happen. Things move so quickly, you don't know what to believe and what not to believe. And we've heard a lot of that over the last weeks, right?
So some things move quickly and some things have been moving very slowly.
Yes, exactly. I know the days go by very quickly, but it feels like we've been doing this for over a year. And so we were talking about that earlier, and I'm in another Zoom meeting today. So it's, but we appreciate you being on. Great to see you. Great to see you both. So thanks so much. Yeah, we miss seeing everybody. We were talking earlier, we miss humans and we miss hugs. So thanks everybody for being on. I've got a few announcements for some upcoming events. On Wednesday, April the 29th at noon, we're going to have our virtual general membership luncheon, Bring Your Own Lunch, Making Decisions Amid Crisis. And so Dr. Glenn Friedman is going to present that for us next Wednesday. Then Thursday, we're going to have a virtual business after hours, Bring Your Own Wine or beer, whatever you want, at 4 o'clock. And that's Thursday the 30th. And then Tuesday the 5th at 10 o'clock is our regular business development meeting. However, it's going to be virtual again, virtual productivity, adjusting to the new normal of virtual meetings and remote work. And so I think those will all be very helpful. And thanks again. For more information to register go to our website, clearlakearea.com. So thanks everybody, and have a great rest of the week and a great weekend.